Hello, people of God. I hope you all are doing well today. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a subject that came in my spirit after having a conversation with a good friend of mine. And then during our talks, several talks, she would always say that she questioned her motive behind certain things that she do and certain things that she say, and that got me to thinking. Uh, why do we do a lot of things we do? Why do we say a lot of things we say? Some things in life are voluntary, voluntary, and some things are involuntary. Involuntary actions are things that doesn't require any thought, which means we do it uh, again without thinking. And it's like blinking our eyes or sneezing or breathing. We don't have to think about breathing. It's an involuntary action. On the other hand, there are such things as voluntary actions, which just the opposite of involuntary. These actions require thoughts, require intent, like talking, eating. I mean, those are minor things, but every most things we do throughout the day, a lot of things we do are voluntary. We even if it's habitual, at some point we thought about it and it becomes a habit, but it's still voluntary. There's a thought, there's a reason behind why we do it, why we're doing certain things. And so I believe often we go through life and we don't really consider our true motive. I believe there often there's the true motive, and then there's the surface motive. Most occasions we deal with the surface motive behind why, or reason behind why we do certain things. Very quickly, we're going to look at Luke 14:12 to 14. This is the NIV version, and this scripture picks up where Jesus is at the head of the Pharisees. So he's at the top Pharisee's home, and they're eating, and they're having several discussions. And one of the things Jesus shared was, again, Luke 14:12 through 14. He said, "When you give a luncheon or dinner, do you not invite your friends, your brothers, or your relatives, or rich neighbors? If you do, they may invite you back, and so you will be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed. Although they cannot repay you, you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous." Oftentimes we do things, and we in this example, we will invite people, we will socialize with people, we're in the presence of certain people, we do certain people favors. Why? Because not often because out of the goodness of our heart, but because, if we're honest, because they can return the favor, or they can do something even more for us. So Jesus was pointing out that even with the Pharisees, that the people that he had at his dinner were people of influence, and so that there was the motivation behind inviting those people to the dinner was because they can likely return favors, or do something in kind. So the motivation behind that was not just to be nice, but to bless people who can bless you in return. A lot of times, our motives are, if we take the time to think about it, we might be surprised at why we do certain things. For example, why do we have certain conversations with certain people at work? Why do we share certain information about certain other coworkers? Is it to lift them up, or is it to highlight something they may be doing wrong in an effort to undermine them, and to show their shortcomings? If we're honest about our true motivations, a lot of times we'll be surprised that our intent is not often as righteous as we may think. Uh, a lot of times when we think about people who have committed adultery, and they'll say something like, "It just happened." Well, it didn't just happen. There were steps along the way that led up to the act of infidelity, or the physical act, but the emotional act had already occurred. we say things like, "Oh, that's just my good friend. That's my shoulder to lean on," when in actuality, our true motivation for talking to these people is because we have established feelings or we're attracted to them. But we tell ourselves different things to justify in our natural mind to make it okay. When our true motivation is we like their attention, we want to be around them, and we're attracted to them. And a lot of times this because we're not dealing with the truth about our true motive behind why we're doing certain things, we find ourselves getting in a lot of bondage, a lot of trouble. Same holds to the way we dress. A lot of times we wear certain clothes. We give all these different reasons why. But ultimately, it's if we be honest, we do it for attention. We all want to look good. There's nothing wrong with wanting to look nice, but sometimes are we looking nice for a certain person? Are we looking like for a person that we should not be looking to get their attention? I mean, but what's our true motivation? I mean, even in the church, there are a lot of people who are ushers, deacons, elders, and all different positions, and on the surface, it's the motivation is to serve God, but we'll be surprised how many times that people say that their reason for doing ministry is to serve God, but but more times it's often many times it's for attention. It's for to be around certain people, be in certain circles. It's for religion, more about religion, less about spirituality. It's about having a position of status and being known in certain circles. I mean, our true motivation, and a lot of times we really sit back and think about why we do the things we do, we may be surprised at our underlying motivation. What's our true motive? And what's scary is that a lot of times we're doing things and we don't even realize that it has a bigger underlying spiritual and meanings. Like, for example, someone who operates in the spirit of manipulation, their motives are almost never sincere. And someone who the definition of manipulation is someone who controls or influences a person or situation cleverly, unfairly, or unscrupulously. That means that they're doing and saying things to control or direct someone else without them even knowing it. For example, if you're sitting around and you say in a room and you say, "Oh boy, I sure am thirsty," in an effort to control or influence someone to say, "Hey, do you want a glass of water?" That's manipulation. So your underlying motive for making that statement of you being thirsty was to influence or control someone to bring you a glass of water, when you could have easily just said, "Hey, would someone bring me a glass of water?" or "I'm thirsty, so could you please bring me a glass of water?" But rather than outright ask for a glass of water, we use means of manipulation, of control. So our motives are not genuine. They're not sincere. They're not of God. They're not pure. They're false. And a lot of times, when our motives are not sincere, we're operating in the spirit of manipulation and don't even realize. Some realize it, and some don't. There are people who their entire lives have been, their motives have been false, and they don't even realize they've been doing it for so long. They don't even realize they're walking and operating in the spirit of manipulation and deception. But if we're not honest with ourselves, we can find ourselves operating in the spirit of manipulation. If we're not dealing with our true motives behind why we do certain things, we can find ourselves living a life of falsehood. We're walking and living each and every day lying to ourselves and lying to others because we're not checking our motive. Why are we doing it? Why do we do the things we do? Why do we say the things that we say? And a lot of times, if we take just a moment to check our motives, we can avoid a lot of bad things. We can avoid a lot of conflict. We can definitely stay out of trouble with God because, when we say, God knows our heart, well, He definitely does. And and He knows when our motives are insincere, are not sincere, and He checks us on everything that we do. So even if we are able to fool others, God knows our motives. He knows why we do the things we do. He knows why we say the things that we say. You know, or are we inviting certain people to our holiday dinners because it's out of the kindness of our hearts, or it's because we want to be in a circle of people who could do things for us, or are we serving in the church because we want to really serve God, or because we want to look good for the pastor, or we want to look good for first lady, or we want to look good for the whoever we want to impress. What's our true motivation? And is it really pure? Is it really not for anything in return for ourselves? And that's not to say that we should go through life not doing things that's going to benefit us, because we in order to be successful we have to be goal oriented. But that's not the point. The point is owning our true intent. That's the key. Owning our true intent. If your motive is to woo someone, or to then own it. Then own it. But don't say, oh, I'm just doing this thing just out of the kindness of my heart, when that's not true. Or I dress this way because I just like to dress this way, when you're trying to get someone's attention, or you're insecure, or whatever the reason is. I mean, the key is, it's important to check our motive. Why are we doing the things that we do? And the more we do that, the more peace we're going to have in our lives, the more our sincere our lives will be. And we're also going to find that we're going to have more peace, because we could be able to check ourselves, and we won't have to second guess, and we won't have to find ourselves in situations that we don't want to be in. So, in the spirit of truth, and in the Word of God said, seeking the truth, and the truth is freeing. Well, a lot of us need to free ourselves, because we're in bondage, because we're not dealing with our true motivation for why we're doing things, why we're saying things, and we're causing others grief because we're presenting one thing and really meaning something else. We're causing ourselves grief in the long term, in the spiritual perspective, because God knows the truth. So I would like to say, going forward, check your motivations. Why are you doing the things that you're doing? Why are you saying the things you're saying in your workplace, with your spouse, with your children, with your neighbors, with yourself? And I think that a lot of us, if we really take a moment to check our motivation, to our true motivation, not the surface, not what we want everybody to believe, but the true reason behind, we'll realize that a lot of the things that we're doing are not in line with who we say we are as Christians, and that's the key. We got to get in line with who we say we are as Christians. Hope this lesson has been a blessing to you. Until next time, take care and God bless.